Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's Wraith here, back with another video. Now in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how you can start placing better in cash cups, and this will also be not only talking about solos, but trios or even future duo or squad cash cups. A lot of these tips you can literally use for no matter what game mode it is. A lot of them might be geared a little bit more towards solos, but trust me, you can use almost every single one of them for every single game mode. In the background, I'm going to be having Benji Fishy play his most recent Cash Cup that he won, just because he's probably, I'd say, the best player in the world for Cash Cups. Especially on EU, dominating that badly, that consistently is super impressive. So make sure you pay attention to that gameplay in the background and kind of watch what he's doing. But if you're looking forward to this video, make sure you slap a like button on it, comment what you want to see for the future video, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. And use creator code WraithFN in the item shop. So for my first tip I'm going to be talking about today is drop spots. So what I personally think you need to do is you have to have two solid drop spots to land, because if you only have one, if it's a hot drop or something like that, or the bus flies right over it right at the bat, well then there might be quite a bit of people landing there, which might disrupt your game plan. So having two solid drop spots, in my opinion, is super important. So for example, let's just say one drop spot could be Steamy Stacks and the other could be Holly Hedges, or one could be that like a little place off the side, like no POI, just in the bottom left side of the map, and then your other could be Craig Cliffs at the top right, or something like that, right? Personally, I think you should always have two drop spots, just because, like I said, then you can change them up depending on how you're doing, or if you need more kills off spawn, you can land maybe one drop spot's a POI and one's not. Whatever the case is, just, if I were you guys, practice landing at those two spots. So what I mean about that is, let's say one of your drop spots is Craigie Cliffs, practice jumping out of the bus from all different angles to try and land to the specific kind of loot path you want to go every single time in Craigie Cliffs. If you want to land at that main building with all the jugs or chug splashes or whatever you want to call them, the little barrels, make sure you practice landing at the exact house every single time. If you like landing whitecaps, make sure you know every single angle when to jump so you can land at whitecaps first, because getting that first chest or first weapon can literally get you some easy kills as well as free shield, which can help you for later fights. So practicing landing at that drop spot is super important. And then, like I said, make sure you figure out a loot path throughout that spot. So for example, we'll go back to the Craigie one. If you land at white caps, where are you going to go? Are you going to dip out if you don't get a good gun? Or are you going to go down, go to the right to the clock tower? Are you going to go left back to those chug barrels, or where are you going to go, right? You need to know exactly what you're going to do. Obviously, it might change a little bit depending how many people land there, or if someone contest you or not contest you, but basically you need to know generally what you're going to do each game, or at least be able to think enough quickly on your feet to figure out where other people went, so you can kind of make it up then. Then after you figure out the loot path, is you need to make sure you know where every single chest, every ammo box, if there's any freezers for fish, if there's any wrist nearby, whatever the case is, you need to know everything about that loot spot. So if it's Craigie, if it's Holly, if it's some random, not even a POI spot, you need to know every single place about it, and then you need to know how to rotate out of there. Is there rifts that you can go hit? Is there cars you're going to use? Can you take a boat? What are you going to do to help move after you've looted up and killed or not even killed everyone there? So now my next tip, and this one's a little bit geared towards more teamwork gameplay. So for example, trios, duos, or squads. And I see it so often that someone will have a duo or someone will have a trio that they found through Discord or their friends or whatever. And this also is relative to tournaments, where they'll have one bad cash cup, or they'll have one bad night of scrims, or one bad tournament, and then they'll just fold and they'll go find another trio, or they'll go find another duo, etc. And you just don't build any chemistry. If you're just consistently leaving your teammates and then finding someone else, you're never going to be a top player in one of these game modes unless you're one of the best solo players and you're playing with one of the best solo players. Then it's obviously a little bit different. You can kind of get away with having a little bit less chemistry. But if you're just an average or pretty good above average player, and you're switching up your duo partner, your trio every single weekend, and right before a Cash Cup or right before an FNCS or DreamHack or whatever the case is, you're finding a new teammates that you literally have maybe had one day of practice with, you're obviously not going to do as well as someone who's been practicing for 3-4 weeks. So what I recommend doing is finding someone who's similar skill level. Don't always be looking for someone way better than you, because why would they want to play with you? They're just going to leave you for a better player, right? So find someone very similar to you, who you work well with, who you have fun with, and who doesn't get angry and accepts their mistakes. Like if you try and say, hey, maybe don't leave and push solo that first time, and they continue to do that, well, then maybe that's not the right person for you, right? So finding a good teammate or a good team that you can consistently like improve with and get better with is going to be a lot better than finding even a better player that you've only played with for one day. So trust me, stick with your team. Now, going back onto the tips that you can use for any game mode, solos, whatever you want to call it, is you have to have a proper pre-game day. So what I mean about that is, especially for tournaments, but you can obviously use it for cash cups as well. If you really want to do the best you possibly can, you need to be practicing literally the night before. So when you go to bed, you need to make sure you get a good amount of sleep. If you're running off 6-7 hours of sleep, you're obviously not going to be as good as you would be if you're running off 8 or 9 hours of sleep. So get a good sleep. I know it seems like, well, it doesn't really matter, but trust me, it does. Then when you wake up, make sure you get like hydrate, drink a lot of water, eat a good balanced food, because if you don't, like, trust me, you're just going to feel so much more worse. You're going to feel a little bit tired, maybe cranky a little bit. You're more likely to tilt. So just getting a good sleep, eating, hydrating before is just so important, and then getting a proper warm up. And so many people neglect like doing all this, and it's so important to keep in a good state of mind as well as doing better, as good as you possibly can. Because like I said, if you're going in and you're tired, you're cranky, you're obviously not going to do as good as if you're energized, you're ready to go, you feel alive, you feel good because you ate, you drank, you have good sleep, everything like that. Trust me, don't neglect it. Make sure you get that as a priority, because if you do, you will feel so much better. And then same thing, like I said, goes for the warm up. If you don't get a good warm up in, you're not going to feel as good. If you're going to feel a little bit weird, you're going to may feel a little bit off. So trust me, get a good hour, 2-hour warm up in if you possibly can. Don't play for 8 hours before a cash cup or a tournament, because then obviously you're going to feel a little bit burnt out or tired. So trust me, just maybe play an hour, 2 hours before, and then get into it. So my next tip, and again, a lot of people don't really do this, is you have to have a game plan. So you have to know before the tournament generally where you want to finish. Do you want to finish in the top 10? Do you want to finish in top 100? Do you want to finish in top 1,000? What is it, and where do you want to finish? And how many points are you going to need for that? So what you can do is look back at previous cash cups, whether it's trios, solo, and be like, hey, we need 150 points. Obviously, I don't know exactly how much it was last, but just know generally how many points you need, and you're going to be like, okay, I need an average of 10 points per game, or I need an average of 2 points per game, or 100 points per game, or whatever the case is, right? For you, whatever your goal is, make sure you know how many points per game you're going to get, and if you're on schedule. Because if you're on schedule, perfect, just stick to your game plan. No need to switch it up, no need to panic, whatever the case is. If you're a little bit above schedule, you can be like, hey, perfect, I'm going to stick to what I'm doing, and hopefully I can finish even better than I want. If you're doing worse than what your schedule was, well, then you might need to switch things up a little bit. Don't panic, don't get nervous, which I'll talk about in my next tip. Literally just be like, hey, maybe I need to get a couple more kills, and maybe I need to fight off spawn more because I need more kills and I'm not stacked enough, or I don't have a good enough loot. Or if you need to placement a little bit better, just be like, hey, I need to stop W keying. It's my 3rd game in. I'm going to start playing for placement a little bit more, right? Like, you have to have a plan that you're going to go into, you're going to stick with, and you're going to fulfill. Because if you don't, you just go in with no idea what you're going to do, no idea what points you're going to do. You might just be like, okay, well, maybe I want to get top 100, but you don't know how many points it is, and then you're going to be like 3 points off. You need to get a kill, you need to get that extra placement, or you could just get that placement and then you'll qualify, but then you just have to go W key somebody because you're like, oh, like 3 points, right? Like, no, you got to make sure you know generally how many points you want, how many points you need to get a specific goal you're trying to get, and then make sure you stick with that plan. Now, my last tip, and so many people I know struggle with this on the daily for cash cups or tournaments, and it's whatever you do, you can't tilt. Trust me, I've done it dozens of times throughout Fortnite tournaments. It's super frustrating, especially this game, when you're doing bad or whatever is happening, it's not going your way, and you just start to get so frustrated. Trust me, you gotta work on it because it will help you so much in the long run. Try a couple things. For example, you can chew some gum throughout the tournament. Shout out Destiny Jesus for kind of showing that on Twitter, and I've used it ever since, and it's helped so much. You'll become a little bit more calm, you'll settle your nerves, you'll feel so much better. Just chewing gum literally helps. Having some friends on Discord or like your game chat that you can talk to throughout the tournament. Obviously, if you're in trios or squads, it's a little bit different. Just make sure that your teammates, again, are super supportive. If they're just negative and they get frustrated, maybe not the best people you want to be playing with, right? If they're the best players in the world, but they just yell and get frustrated and quit after 3 games, well, you're not really going to do as good as you want to do it, right? So make sure you have good friends that you're either playing with for trios, duos, or squads, or you have them in a party chat. If you really struggle with getting upset during a solo, just have them in a Discord and talk with them. And again, same people, you want to have positive people. And worst case, if you really are frustrated and you're not doing good, literally just take a 10-minute break, go outside, go to the washroom, go get a drink of water, go on your phone for a bit, just calm down, let your everything settle, let your nerves settle, and then get back into it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you slap a like button on it, comment what you want to see for a future video, hit that subscribe button, and use creator code WraithFN in the item shop, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.